Hello and welcome to the Caddy and PHP and Phalcon PHP installation guide. First of all, we're going to start with Caddy. What is Caddy? Caddy is a neat little HTTP 2 web server that I've just come across, and I thought I'd install it on Windows 10 today. And what it has is a pretty different way than Apache. It's much simpler than Apache. It's got some neat little features that you want. Obviously HTTP 2, it's fast. It's got things like fast CGI to run PHP, so you don't load PHP the same way as Apache. It's got gzip compression, those sorts of things that you'd expect. It does all the it does rewrites and redirects, things like that, which is handy for what we're going to be doing later. So first of all, we need to simply go and download Caddy, and what you'll see as you scroll down, you can select some different features, so it'll compile a package for you to download. Like you could add Git, so you could deploy your site with Git pushes, and it's IP filtering, all that sort of stuff, or you could add some custom ones. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to include Caddy core. I'm going to do a very basic install, and I've got Windows 64-bit, so I'll just do that, and it should download a zip file. Now my my Chrome is telling me that I have an error here, or it's a warning. It's probably because it's a web server. So it asks me if I want to discard it or do I want to keep it. I'm going to keep it, and it's downloaded. So what I need to do next is extract that into a folder, and what I'm going to do is install it straight into C drive Caddy. So I'm going to make it just C drive Caddy. And there you go. So in C drive Caddy, I now have an exe caddy.exe. It's pretty simple to run, but what you'd want to do to start with is create a thing called a Caddy file. This is a basic file that tells the server where you want your web server to be hosted. In this case, I'm going to be putting it at localhost on port 2020. I'm going to use gzip, why not? And I'm going to log all the access log file here. So what I'll do is I'll save this in that directory, and I'll go to C drive Caddy, and I will just save it as Caddy file. Now in the instructions, I don't know if this is actually true, but they do have a capital C, so I'm just sticking to what they suggested in their instructions. Seems to work. And what we can do then is simply go to let's run open a command prompt. We'll go to C drive Caddy, C drive Caddy. As you can tell, I've been used to working on Unix or Linux command line, and from here I've got the caddy.exe and the Caddy file. The Caddy file tells us that on localhost port 2020, that's where web server is going to start, and all I need to do is type Caddy. It'll just stop there and say localhost 2020, that's where the web server is. So let's go back to our browser and let's look. Now I tried going to there before I installed it just to check that there was nothing already running. So if I reload that, it'll say 404 not found. That's good. because what we actually want to do is create I just wonder if I've got the, no, I don't have the plugin, but create a simple HTML page. Let's put that in an H1 and save that in the Caddy folder, and we'll call it index.html, and there we go. So if we go back to the browser, reload that, we've got our web server running, loading the index file automatically. We didn't need to do anything. So that's really how simple it is to install Caddy. It is just that quick, and you can get right up and running very fast. So that's the installation of Caddy. Next I'll be moving on to the installation of PHP with Caddy. Okay, now we've finished the installation of Caddy, we're going to be moving on to PHP. Now PHP under Caddy isn't quite the same for Apache if you're used to that. It is actually, we're going to run it as a fast CGI script. So I've gone to windows.php.net because we're doing this on Windows, into the download page, and there are, at the moment, as of recording, it's 5.6, and we will be downloading the non-thread safe version. There is articles you can look up, just Google them, about fast CGI, non-thread safe, running with another web server such as Nginx or Caddy, etc. Don't actually need the thread safe one, non-thread safe is fine. So I'm going to download this one. This is the x86 version. The x64 is experimental, so I'm sort of steering clear of it a little bit, and also I've tested it with x86 and it works. So not that there may be anything wrong with it, I'm just sort of playing it safe. So if we download the zip file, same place. Didn't complain to me this time, not yet. So if we go to an Explorer window, we'll go to the downloads here. Now PHP, and you'll see it's non-thread safe. So the NTS is what you're actually looking at there. It's pretty critical that you remember this, that it's x86 and non-thread safe, because for Phalcon that will matter. So you need to match with Phalcon framework. The library needs to match what version of PHP you've got. So if we just extract this, and what I'm going to do is a very similar thing. I'm just going to extract it straight into C drive PHP. Takes a little while for this one. So what we will be running is not php.exe, it'll be php-cgi, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. There we go, and it's extracted. So the next step, what we really want to do is create the correct PHP .ini file. That is quite important, and I generally use the development one. This is on my local machine as a developer version, development environment. So I generally, copy this one, and copy it and paste it, and it will be copy of copy here. I just rename it php.ini, It'll give me some warnings, but I don't really mind. And I'll edit it. Now, what I need to do is two things in here for the end result. But to start with, we just need to test that this will work. So I'm going to do them now. This is a bit of ahead of time, but just so we are loading the extensions from the right directory, I do like to go in and find the right directory for the extensions. So we just need to uncomment. This version is line 736, and for Windows we need to uncomment the line that says extension dir equals ext. That means that when we put our extensions in that directory, it will work. That's a trap that I fell into because I didn't realize that the extensions directory had to be specified. I didn't realize it was commented out. So the next step is to look at we'll make a folder. Where should we make it? We'll make it in Caddy. Let's make another folder, because we'll make a directory that we can put our project into. So test -project. Okay. In here we're going to load a different Caddy file, because we're going to actually load PHP CGI. Alright, so I'm going to save that as, and save this in there. C drive, Caddy. I'll just go through it after I save it. Now I need to make sure that it's Caddy file, not Caddy file 2. I did name it that just to keep it separate on my notepad program. But so what I'll do is I'll go through. It's the same directory, still using gzip. The log file, because we're inside the project file, will be one. I want it up out of there. I want it to be one folder, one directory up. So step up a directory and put it in the access.log. And this is the next thing, is we're going to use fastCGI on this current directory, and we're going to load PHP on this port and server this IP address in this port. Okay, and so that means that we need to actually run PHP as a CGI. So we also need to create a fastCGI batch file, and I've got one already pre-made here. Basically, it'll start this PHP as fastCGI. I've set to echo some instructions. I've press Ctrl+C to stop it, so if you need to stop the program. I've got the path is set path C drive PHP and C drive Caddy, so I can call some of those just for convenience really, and the path. Then I need to run this command. This is where PHP is located. This is the executable that we're actually executing into memory, php-cgi.exe -b, and then the IP address and the port, and also what configuration file we're using. So we're using that php.ini file we created earlier. So I'll save that in the PHP folder, as I'm just calling it php-fastcgi.bat. Now I've already got Caddy running, and I want to stop it because I want to run the PHP first, then Caddy. So I'll run another command prompt, So on this side I've got Caddy, on this side I've got PHP, so I go cd PHP, and I'll just PHP so I'll run the batch file. If there is any problems, especially because we're using the developer INI as our temp from the template, it'll start throwing things up there. Now, oops. There we go, so we've got Caddy running on 2020. So we do need to create I use this as a base. Actually no, let's make another one. Let's make a PHP file, and let's just do the old PHP info track. Just see, and we'll put it in test project, and we'll call it index.php. So we just need to go localhost test-project. Okay, so it's not actually loading. Let's see why. That's right. And that's right. Just make sure that it's loaded. Well, it doesn't appear to have loaded. Let's actually stop this. Let's actually go and get this. There we go. Gee, for some reason that wasn't actually set. On both sides. Okay. Oh, I do know what we've done wrong. And this is actually quite an easy thing to do wrong. I should actually go into the folder and Caddy dot oops. C drive caddy.exe. So I will run that batch file again, so PHP is running, and now that I'm in the folder, it'll load the Caddy file from that within that folder, and this should work, we hope. Reload this page. Here we go. Don't need the .php index.php file. We can see we've loaded PHP with Caddy. So next step we'll load Phalcon into this PHP, which is probably should be the easiest thing, but for some reason it always causes me the most grief. So we'll load Phalcon into PHP next. Okay, so now we'll be installing Phalcon. This version will be 2.0.8 into PHP, which is running Phalcon. Which is running on Caddy. So the first thing we needed to do is remember when we downloaded PHP we had a certain version, a certain architecture, and it was NTS, not thread safe. So we need to match those things because Phalcon is a compiled library. This is of course the Windows DLL that we were wanting. We want to load the Windows DLL and we want to load the right version. So first of all, x86, that's what we actually got. We did not install x64 PHP. It doesn't matter what, this has nothing to do with Caddy whatsoever. Caddy will just run, pick up whatever version of PHP is running here. Basically it's gonna not really care. So we got x86 for PHP 5.6 and NTS is what we want. So 2.8, x86 PHP 5.6, NTS, not thread safe. And we download that. Right, and this is pretty straightforward. All we need to do now is go to our PHP folder on the side here. We've got an ext folder under the PHP folder, and we just want to drag this php underscore phalcon.dll into the ext folder. And we're done. We just want to check that it's there. PHP Phalcon.dll, nice and sitting there. The next thing we need to do is load that extension in PHP. So we go to our php.ini file. We go into the section where the extensions are, and we simply put in. I just usually copy one and uncomment it, and just put php underscore Phalcon.dll and tidy that up. And save that. Now that will not load Phalcon until we restart PHP. So we stop PHP and run it again. If it can't load that library, you get an error message right here on the screen if it can't load that library. And also you want to check that it's loaded by reloading this test project page. We've made a PHP PHP info, and so we want to scroll down to the section where it says, and it should be in alphabetical order, Phalcon. So just right after PDO we've got Phalcon. If you see this section in here, you can just search for Phalcon as well. That means you've loaded Phalcon. Good job. And that's awesome. But how do we know that it's actually working? Well, I've got a Phalcon project. You need to start building your Phalcon project as well. But the other thing we need to do for Phalcon to work is there is a little bit of a difference in the Caddy file, because we need to start doing some rewrites. And here's what the rewrite. So this is all familiar. Loading on this localhost domain and port 2020. gzip logging, loading PHP. Now we get to the rewrite section. So we want to just anything dot anything. We need to actually redirect it. Anything in that root directory, we want to redirect it into public and index.php. There's a bit more to it, and I'll let you explore. And I haven't fully tested this. I mean, I know that it works as far as the basic stuff goes, and I've just got to enough that it works. And I haven't gone through and tested all the possible permutations for different directories, etc., etc. So we need to probably do a bit more exploration and padding that out. But for now, this actually just gets a basic Phalcon project up and running. So I'm going to copy that section. This is our test project Caddy file, so I'm just going to add it at the end there. So we've made a change, therefore we also need to restart Caddy. So we need to stop it and restart it, because it needs to reload that Caddy file. Now it won't do much without actually us bringing in a project. I happen to have one that I prepared earlier. And I just need to find it, called Throwbox. Right. And it already has the Caddy file, and it's got some, because it's a Git project, it's already got some files there that came with the project. Oops, what did that say? Replace. Right, now this was a little bit untidy, so let me just tidy this up. Right. And I also want to remove the index.php file with the, actually what I'll do is PHP info. I'll just rename it PHP info. So if I reload this project, in theory this can't be loaded. This is actually showing us that we do have a project there. Phalcon is complaining. So if we reload at the root directory, because this is actually where we're sitting, we're now flying with Phalcon. So that was all we actually needed to do to get Phalcon running. Pretty straightforward. Oh well, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Any questions, put it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe.